So listen, now it's time for a segment we call IRL Esports.
So every week we'll feature a different personality in the space, and this time we have Alex Valle, an old school Street Fighter player who's been able to become one of the most respected in the fighting game community. So he's throwing an event called SoCal Regionals later this month, and we're here to welcome him on the show.
Alex, do we see yous?
Ooh,
That is a fancy
Alex?
picture.
Hey, guys.
Look
Hello,
at your
sir.
picture,
Hi,
man.
Alex.
Hi,
Good
how you guys
grief.
doing?
This is a
Great.
very badass picture, I gotta say. I feel like you're gonna beat me up.
I mean, wait, okay, question. Are you a fighting games pro or just like a UFC fighter?
Or both.
All of the above.
Oh, wow. Use your imagination on that one.
I'll be honest with you, Alex, we don't have to. That picture
yeah.
says 1,000
Yeah.
words.
Okay, so for those who don't know you yet, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, first, thank you guys for welcoming me on your show.
Sure.
I was the former Street Fighter and Tekken U.S. champion back in the arcade era. This is way before esports even was even a thought. People always wanted to know who were the best players in certain arcades. I mean, I wasn't even the first generation of top, what we used to call top players back then. But I eventually played with some of them, and right after the Super Turbo era into the Alpha series of Street Fighter, and that's kind of where I started to take over the reins of winning most of the championships, Street Fighter and Tekken, and various other fighting games as well, leading up to about 2002ish when I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the name of Justin Wong and Daigo. Their reigns took over around then. So I was one of the first old schoolers that kind of introduced the big championship scene. But from then on, it really took off. And then now I'm obviously taking over a mentoring event organizer role these days.
Sweet. Now, speaking of that, obviously it's easy to see you're pretty heavily involved in the fighting game community. We have an event coming up, and we alluded to it earlier. The SoCal Regionals 2017 goes down at the end of the month. Seems pretty explanatory, but tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So SoCal Regionals is our premier fighting game event in the region. It's since there's no more arcades around, and we want to preserve the grassroots feel of inviting all the most popular games and some of the classic ones too, for all the fighting game fans. And with me and my partners. It started back in 2010, and it's around the time when Street Fighter 4 kind of blew up and just kind of took over the scene, and we started adding more games, like Tekken, BlazBlue, the Guilty Gear series, and all the other wonderful games that come to fruition. But leading up to 2017, now we're esports is very, very big now, and a lot of the fighting game publishers like Capcom has the Capcom Pro Tour. We are our premier stop. Tekken 7 with the Bandai Namco's publisher game. We're also part of the Tekken World Tour on that one. So you can see how these events have gravitated to premier locations where you can qualify to be part of their championships and also win some big pot prizes. I think the Capcom Pro Tour is $15,000 just at this premier stop. And the Tekken World Tour is $10,000 as a master event. And at the end of the road, at the end of the year, they play for huge prizes, which are over $500,000 in cash and prizes. It's so crazy. But we want to make sure that we're maintaining the grassroots feel, even though esports is here. That only means that we're progressing into a more presentable showcase to really detail who are the best players, tell the storylines, present the games, and of course, first and foremost, the community, right? Because we're all playing right next to each other.
So you're in a really unique position, kind of having grown up with the fighting game community, to kind of speak to this. So how would you say the fighting scene on the West Coast compares to elsewhere in the world? What makes it unique?
In the West Coast in the U.S., for America, it actually originated here because, my predecessors, right? John Choi and Mike Watson and Tomo Ahiro. Those are like the classic kings of Southern California Street Fighter players, and they've been winning tournaments. Well, John Choi is from NorCal, but they've been winning tournaments before I have. And once I started to practice with them, we would start winning tournaments nationwide. So it kind of, started in the West Coast. We're more laid back, we're chill. I mean, you can see like in the 90s, it was, low riders, cars, hip hop, right? So like we're a bit more reserved. East Coast is a bit more robust. They're very hype, they're very animated. You can totally tell the difference in coasts, and you can see the mesh of different styles and personalities from each region. It's beautiful. Like we need that. We need the differentiate.
Love it.
And we need all the different unique personalities in the scene to make it shine. That's why we're so special that way.
Well, that's fantastic. And you, in fact, are special, Alex. And I thank you so much for coming on the show today. So last question, where can people find you? Where's your work? Give them the deets.
Yeah, you guys can, if you guys want more information about the fighting game community or our events, you can reach me on Twitter at the Alex Valle. I mean, if you guys are interested in watching SoCal Regionals, which is coming up this September 22nd through the 24th, tune in on twitch.tv/leveluplive. It's going to be an awesome show. It's going to be some of the best players in the world going to be at this event. Want to know who the best Street Fighter player is? Want to know who the best Tekken player is? Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, you name it. It's going to be there. So I hope you guys tune in.
Awesome.
Solid plug, Alex. Solid
Thank
plug. Yeah,
Thank you
thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.
Whew.
That's going to be an awesome event.
September
Yeah.
22nd. Mark it on your calendars. Right meow. I'm not sure why I keep rolling my R's, but that's how we do.
Yeah.